No.
Oh, yeah!
I finished these fights.
Give me a hell yeah! Top Rope Nation.
Learn to love it. It's the best thing going today.
What's going on, everybody? Another edition of Top Rope Nation. And Kyle, this might be a first in the 6-year history of this podcast because I'm not sure we've ever gone head to head with both Monday Night Raw and Monday Night Football. And let me just warn you right now, if you're tuning in live, this is not your two-screen experience. We will not be talking about Monday Night Raw tonight. Maybe football will come up. We are going to be talking WWE. We're talking about Crown Jewel, Kyle Ross. I'm Ryan Drosty, by the way, if you've never tuned into the show before. But yeah, I mean, the Monday Night Wars are back, Kyle. How you feeling tonight?
Well, if we've ever recorded on Monday before, we've obviously gone against Raw because, as you know, it is the longest running weekly episodic program in the history of television. We have to have done a Monday during. We probably haven't done too many.
I think they've all been, we've done classics on Monday before, but those are, closed streams for our patrons. I think that's it though. I don't think we've ever done like a flagship show before on a Monday
night. Yeah, we've done them on Monday nights before. I think maybe we haven't. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got Alan.
But I mean, regardless, I mean, when when duty calls, to review Crown Jewel, by God, you just clear the schedule.
Well, I'm hoping people tune in while they're watching Raw or football or whatever they're doing. As I said, Alan, our good buddy, checking in the chat, patron of the show. Appreciate you tuning in, Alan. And yeah, feels like it's been a little while since we did a show. We put out our latest edition of Top Rope Nation Classics here not too long ago. So we've been keeping busy in our shoot jobs, Kyle and I, and of course Justin, with the baby, the newborn at home. So we put it together. We're here to talk Crown Jewel, which happened on Saturday. So we're a couple days late. We've been able to marinate on what we saw over in Saudi Arabia. And Kyle, let me just throw it to you. Give me your grade, A through F. What'd you think?
C, I guess, just like always. This was a very typical WWE show, which I think doesn't necessarily mean the same thing to everybody, but I don't know, man. Like, all these shows just run together for me.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it better than Extreme Rules. I liked it better than Money in the Bank. Maybe just because I think those are like fundamentally flawed shows. Right. Where it just feels like you're watching the same thing. There was some variety to this, but I mean, unless if you are some crazy person and think WWE is on some all-time great run, I just don't know how you don't give all these shows basically in the C range. Maybe it's a C minus, maybe it's a C plus, but yeah, I mean, this was just a very typical WWE show. There was nothing that I will really care to revisit. I don't think most of it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, outside the main event, it was pretty dire, to be honest, but it was a show. Nothing outright sucked on it.
I'm pretty much right there with you. I was trying to think back to what I gave Extreme Rules, and I think it was a C minus, and I was basing my grade off of that because I thought this was a little bit better of a show, mostly because there was definitely something more memorable. I think I said this on the Extreme Rules show. I'm grading these shows. Is there anything I would ever go back and watch? And probably not. But you could make an argument for the main event just because you got a celebrity in there. It was an all-time great celebrity match for sure. So I could see why people would maybe want to go back and revisit that one in the future. The rest was pretty average. So I'm like C plus, kind of right in there too. I'll be a little generous. I'll go C plus on this one. I won't say that I hated watching it.
I just think you're a real weirdo to be emotionally invested in any of this now. Like, that's the issue. It's just, my big takeaway, first note that I wrote down on this show was that I'll give WWE this. They do a good job of making you feel like, they do a good job at making you feel like what you're watching is a very big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it is not. It's very dressed up. It looks very big. It's very bright. It's very loud. The production is very good. But if you kind of just strip that away, it's just kind of vapid and soulless, and none of it means it. I don't care about anything I'm really watching. where any of these people like, I think it would be really odd for anyone to tell me that, like, their favorite performers of all time in wrestling would be, like, any modern WWE performer.
Yeah.
That would be, like, so fucking weird if someone said that.
I mean, I think it's so much with, like, the era we're in. We talk about that all the time. They dress up the shows great. As you said, the production values are top notch. I mean, the hype videos are always excellent. They always open with a really cool video. I gotta say, like, the poster for this event with Logan Paul and Roman, literally face to face, I really like that poster. It kinda had, like, 80s vibes to it or something. Almost takes you back to, like, that WrestleMania 7, I guess that's 91 poster of Hogan and Slaughter face to face,
Mhm.
or Macho and Hogan back in the day, but, um, I just feel like in modern day, it's all about clips and social media clips and, like you said, looking bright, looking exciting, and unfortunately for old fans like us who like, the greater story and a reason to tune in every single week, it just doesn't seem like that's ever front and center in their mind. They just want to make moments. You've said that before on the pod. It's all about
Mhm.
just moments in WWE and highlights and those clips for social media. And that's what it is. And if that's what you're trying to do, it's very, very successful because anyone that runs across a 10-second clip from the show and they see that huge crowd and that huge video screen, I mean, and the pyro, like it looks really cool. You have to hand it to them. But again, I think about being a wrestling fan growing up, and I try to imagine myself in the shoes of a kid today and how, man, I would just every single weekend go to the video store and rent those videos and just like you, watch the same pay-per-views over and over and over. And it's just like I can't imagine
Well
doing that with these pay-per-views these days.
well,
But
I mean, there's so much more that you're inundated with, obviously, weekly television, and it's hard to make it more when you've got that much
mhm,
mean a lot when you've got that much weekly television.
yeah.
Um, I don't the WWE to me is actually a boring promotion right now.
There's no incentive to watch television, really. You can tune in for these big shows, have a pretty good grasp of
I mean,
what's
even
going
this
on. It's been
show,
like
I
that way
mean,
for a while.
I don't know, like, if you didn't watch this, I'm not gonna, like, beat you over the head and say, "You gotta see this." Even the main event, which was good,
Mhm.
it wasn't, it's funny, actually, to fast forward to the main event. Here they go, they put this celebrity in the match, but it was basically just a typical WWE main event build and main
Yeah.
event match, only with a celebrity doing the usual moves. Like, it didn't
Yeah.
really feel special. It was just that Logan Paul has an aptitude for this
Mhm.
and fared much better than, your average novice, I guess.
Yeah. Well said. Well, we're going to get into all the magics here in just a second. I do want to say, guys, if you want to help us out, leave us a written review on Apple. It's been a long time. If you're listening on that podcast feed, make sure you hit subscribe. We're, of course, as I said, we're streaming right now on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter, everywhere. Hit the subscribe button, especially on YouTube. That helps us out so much. And you saw the names scrolling across the bottom a second ago. If you want to help out Top Rope Nation, patreon.com/Top Rope Nation. Link here in the description. It's the best way to support us. Bonus content, closing in on 100 bonus shows just for patrons. In fact, as I mentioned a little bit ago, we just dropped our latest edition of Classics, and that was a look back at In Your House Bad Blood 97. Really strong show, I have got to say. We talked about the first ever Hell in a Cell match. I was really proud of the mixing job I did in that pod, Kyle. I got to send you
Oh.
the file because a lot of bonus audio in there if you listen to the podcast version. Really good stuff. So if you want to hear all of that, Kyle's got an edition of Top Rope Nation Extra dropping next week, probably with Michael Jenkinson, longtime supporter of Top Rope Nation. Should be a must listen. You just had Liam O'Rourke on there a couple of weeks ago talking about Brian Pillman and his death 25 years later, as well as some current topics as well, which was an awesome, awesome listen. So if you want more from Top Rope Nation, check out the Patreon page. Best way to support us.
And tomorrow, no, not tomorrow, almost tomorrow, Wednesday, I am recording uh, an edition of Pro Wrestling Then and Now with Frank Pettiani for The Torch, covering Survivor Series 1992, an event that I attended in person.
Heck yeah. There you go. So check out PW Torch VIP to hear that. And
Become a
I will
VIP.
be
Yes.
I'll be on there at the end of the month too. So
So
2 Top Rope Nation appearances on Pro Wrestling Torch with Frank this month. I'll be on there to talk Montreal 25th anniversary of Survivor Series 97 towards the end of the month. So
anything
hey,
happen at
give the
that show?
torch $5 for 1 month and you can get both of us. Yeah. So
Anything
have we
happen at
ever talked
Survivor
about that
Series
show?
'97? Oh
I don't
yeah,
know. Have we
yeah.
talked about that
Okay,
ever? I
yeah,
don't know. Just a few
yeah.
times here on Top Rope Nation. Yeah. And our next classic show, the poll just ended, Kyle. I'm just tell you this live on air. I haven't told you or Justin this,
Oh no.
but every month we poll our patrons and they choose what we review on classics for Patreon. And this is going to be, I guess, not the oldest we've done because we did do Memphis one time with Derek Chappelle a couple of years ago. World Class Championship Wrestling, Thanksgiving Star Wars 1983. I believe it was
Oh
Gabe Benson.
fuck yeah!
Yeah.
Thank God. Here we go, Flower. You never. I'll tell you what, man. They say democracy dies in the dark, but not here at Top Rope Nation. Fuck yeah, we're doing something good. Oh yeah, not that. I mean, our listeners have done a great job all year, but they've, I think they've picked events that are pretty like well known, but that
Mhm.
all of us just have strong feelings on and really enjoyed covering. But let's go with the deep cut. Oh yeah,
Hell yeah. This one is not even on the network, I don't believe.
there's part of it. Oh
the
wait,
81 Star Wars is on there.
okay. No, you have to get creative. I'm gonna have to give instructions
Oh,
because
okay.
it is so all of it is on there. In like you just have to like watch the TV,
Mhm.
except the main event of Kerry Von Erich and Michael Hayes in the cage. But they show that match in full on a recap show in '84. It was a
Oh,
big
okay.
thing when the TV came out on Peacock that people like because it had not been seen in full, and people realized it was on a recap show before the David Von Erich Parade of Champions.
Well, I did see it is on YouTube in sequence supposedly. I think it was about 90
Okay.
minutes long. So I'm looking forward to it because Aaron Graham, longtime supporter of the show, patron of the show, he messaged me and he's like, I might sign up for another Patreon account just to have another vote to get us out of that late 90s period to change it up a little bit on classics. But
No, this
he
is
didn't need
cool.
to. Yeah.
I'm fired up for this. Oh, good job, patrons. Yeah, I didn't know Kerry Von Erich, one of the hottest crowds for any match in the history of pro wrestling. Kerry Von Erich, Michael Hayes, loser leaves town in a steel cage. Meltzer was living in the Metroplex at that time. He told the story that it was like like a shitty night in Dallas that night. It was unusually cold, and like people were like trying to like peek into the building, like
Wow.
like pressed up against the windows
Yeah.
still and
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, that was really the height of that promotion, I
Oh
think,
yeah. Yeah.
because it was David was still alive, obviously, um, but yeah, that baby, big
Kyle's
guy have a
excited,
lot of
man.
strength, man.
It's going to be a huge change of pace. I'm really looking forward to it, and also just great timing because we've been having the first photos drop from the upcoming Von Erich movie, The Iron
Yeah.
Claw. Zac
And
Efron. I mean, everyone's been seeing that on social media, so
eh,
great tie in there.
and more than anything, you know what else is great about doing that show for classics?
Mm, tell me.
Bulls didn't win shit in '83.
I was thinking about that. If you guys have never heard these shows, we always go through like pop culture, what was going on at the time of the show, what we were doing. I was not born in November of '83. I was almost born. I was in utero. I was like 2 months away from being born. So I won't be
Oh,
able to share any memories. And then I was like,
you're gonna
yeah, it'll be kind of interesting going through the sports moments of that
you're gonna have to
period.
play
So
Nirvana in utero
yes, I'll be the lead in.
to fade. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. So yeah, great choice. I think, as I said, I think Gabe Benson nominated it. He used to live in Texas during that period, and yeah, strong votes. I mean, I would say ran away with the poll, but it was a strong favorite. It got 33% of the vote. The next closest, Survivor Series '02 and Survivor Series '95, each got 17%. So it was about
Mm.
double what each of those got. So
And
yeah.
just, if you're a patron and you want your old school Survivor Series fix, you mentioned the extra that I'm recording with Michael Jenkinson next week. We will be covering favorite Survivor Series elimination matches and also evaluating elimination matches as a gimmick that can't potentially draw anymore. So we're going to have, some conceptual discussions as well as
Mhm.
going over our favorites there. So if you really
Nice.
want to hear old school Survivor Series talk, maybe you're not as excited about as us about World Class. You're still going to get it here at Top Rope Nation if you're a patron.
Well, and in the Patreon archives, we have done for classics last year Survivor Series 96, and we did Survivor Series 90 a couple of years ago. So those are available on Patreon in the archives if you sign up. And this one, World Class, will drop probably the last week in November. So another incentive there for everybody.
Oh, I'm so excited.
All right, Kyle, let's get to Crown Jewel. I'm going to bring it back down to earth.
Not excited anymore.
All right, so they had the hype videos you talked about, very well done. They opened the show with the second match of Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, and a competitive match as you would expect. They somewhat recreated the WrestleMania 8 finish here with Brock kicking out of the corner and pinning Lashley while he had the hurt lock on, and then of course Bobby goes nuts afterwards. When that finish happened, I'm like, oh, of course they went that way.
I would stress the word somewhat in your last sentence.
He just laid on top of him, not the flip over the top, really, like Brett did, or like he did at Survivor Series 96 with Austin too. But it was, inspired by that. So Bobby has a hurt lock on. Brock kicks out of the corner, pins him while laying on top of Bobby. That's the finish. So
I think it was inspired by the idea of neither guy wanting to do a job.
Yeah. And then afterwards, Lashley attacks Brock, basically puts him into he loses consciousness, applies the hurt lock, whatever. We're gonna have a rubber match eventually between these two. It was all right. Yeah, I would expect. Not that WWE is predictable with their booking and all that, but
okay. Going back to my earlier point that the WWE does a good job at making you feel like what you are watching is a very big deal, even though it is not. We have this match. Two impressive looking main event guys. But what a pedestrian match and feud this was. Weeks ago, I think it was when we did our Extreme Rules review, because Raw was also in the bag by that point. We had done that one on a couple-day delay as well. And Lesnar had attacked Lashley on that Raw, and everyone's like, well, what's this all about? I was like, look, man, it's real simple, okay? Lesnar wants his job back that he did at the Rumble to Lashley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's what happened. And, the key was, so Lashley loses to Rollins because they don't want Lesnar being the U.S. champion. Okay. And Rollins got his win back then over Riddle, and they were able to make that a U.S. title match. So the only question now is Lashley going to wind up beating Rollins and get the title back, and none of this means a squirt of piss? It was just... Look, in terms of the match itself, I loved Lesnar and Goldberg at Mania 33. Might be the best sub 5-minute match in the history of this company. But man, Brock has not deviated from that match layout much in the last 5 years.
Nope.
Between that and he's gotten away from Suplex City a little bit, but remember when he would just like beat that into the ground because the Roman match was so good and everyone remembered Suplex City bitch, and he would just, it was almost like Scott Steiner at the 03 Rumble at the end until he finally switched it up. But now he's just repeating that Goldberg match from WrestleMania 33. How many times are we going to see that same spear through the same barrier? If you are listening to this podcast right now and still get excited about that spot, God bless your soul.
I thought you might go a little more mean on that one, Kyle, but yes, no, God bless your soul. God bless your soul.
Who the fuck was like they actually showed people in the crowd like,
oh my God, never seen this before.
In the exact same spot they do it every fucking match. So, an absolute shit finish here that did nothing for anybody. My notes, I said couldn't possibly go higher than 2 3/4 stars. Honestly, that's pretty generous. Maybe not higher than 2 1/4. There was a lot of heat early on, and it's two main event guys trading blows. But I've seen this before. And with the finish, I get needing to protect Lashley. I do. Okay. Because he's getting screwed in the whole scenario. Lashley's just playing politics, or Lesnar, pardon me, he's just playing politics. He's like, well, I lost to this guy and I came back early, did another job to Reigns. I want to beat Lashley now. And by the way, now that I say that, it makes sense that Drew won on this show too, because guess who Brock is going to get another win back from, I bet, moving forward.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden that light bulb went. I'd said that before. And now the light bulb just went off above my head. So this scenario sucked for Lashley. Honestly, I think his 2022 has sucked. I'll talk more about it later, a certain element, but let's go through this scenario and feud. Did him no favors. Loses the U.S. title to Rollins, again, only because they didn't want Brock winning it, but Brock still had to beat Lashley. And now you've got Brock getting cheered. Rollins inexplicably gets cheers. I mean, you want to give me full ammunition to hate the WWE audience. Organically turning Seth Rollins babyface. What the fuck are we doing, people? And
I'm getting you that t-shirt, Kyle.
No, I will literally just burn it and send it back to you.
With the crowd singing on
the
down. T-shirt.
Burn it down.
Burn it down.
So, you know, again, you talk about ripping off your own shit, Ryan. Remember, it was at Crown Jewel last year. Same deal. Lashley had lost a title that he'd held for a while.
Yeah.
Just so he could do a job to a part-time guy that they didn't want having that title. It was Goldberg in that instance. I actually liked that Goldberg-Lashley match better than I liked this match. That match, oh, that was way better than this one, man. They brought way more energy to it. But yeah, they're just repeating shit out of the handbook, and the post-match kind of sort of made it seem like Lashley could be going heel, even though like Michael Cole was saying he understands his frustration because he dominated most of that match, but he lost. I hate when they fucking do that. They did that in another match that we're going to get to too, where the match ends and all they talk about is how dominant the loser was, like immediately after.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, this not a rip-roaring start. And like I said, I'll have more on Bobby Lashley later.
Yeah. So, yeah, they went about 6 minutes. Not much, setting up the eventual third match.
Not going to complain about that.
Yeah. Didn't overstay its welcome. That's for sure. After this, we go to the women's tag team titles. Bliss and Asuka defending against Damage Control, Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Now, Kyle, first of all, what are you going to do if Alexa Bliss goes back with Bray Wyatt? There's been some teases linking them. Oh, God, please don't give us that again. Please do not. More on Bray Wyatt.
Move to the fucking moon? I don't know. What do you want me to say? I don't know. Jump off a bridge?
You just took a drink.
Yes.
Jump off a bridge is what I was expecting. All right. I guess I could take you through the match here and what happened.
Light impression?
Oh, God. Yeah. Rest in peace, by the way. This one went about 13 minutes. It's a title change. Now, I got to say, not that the women's tag titles are super prestigious, but I don't really like the way they've been moving them around so much lately. It looked early on like Bliss and Asuka are going to retain. Bliss was firmly in control. Asuka comes in. They start working Asuka's leg, and she sells the leg for the rest of the match. There was even a "This is awesome" chant from the crowd at one point during this one. I think that was maybe a little too much.
I don't know. What can you say something like that? Imagine sitting next to someone chanting that. Like, there's two things you can do. You just like fucking roll your eyes and move on. That's option A. Or option B is to be a complete asshole. Turn to them and say, what wrestling exactly have you watched in your life?
Yeah.
That this is awesome.
This was very average. I wouldn't call it a bad match. Very average. Very average.
I'd call it bad.
You call it bad? I mean, I wouldn't say it was bad.
One good.
In the end, Alexa's old friend, Nikki Cross, comes out, who they had teased, I believe, on Raw.
What a callback. What storytelling.
Yep. She was moving in the corner of Damage Control, and Bliss is up top. It looks like she's going to hit the Twisted Bliss. And Nikki Cross ends up laying her out, and we get the pinfall and the title change. So got a little clunky late. Overall, pretty average match, though, as I said. And Damage Control wins the women's tag team title. So now you got Nikki Cross, turning on her former friend. She's in Damage Control's corner, supposedly, although in a much higher profile match later, she does not make an appearance in the corner of Damage Controls. We'll get into
Well,
that
it's
here in a
because
little
they were losing in that one.
bit. Yeah. So no
Look,
help
she
there.
I think Nikki Cross is just being put with them because they need a fourth person for the War Games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
nothing more, nothing less. I'll have a comment about War Games in a minute. Our good friend Garrett Gonzalez actually had what I would call a high quality takeover on his group page. But as far as this match, Ryan, again, I don't think it was good. Fourth tag title switch since they brought the belts back. I assume, you made the point about not liking, them doing kind of a quickie change. They changed them on Raw, then went back to Damage Control here. I assume they just did that so they could cite progress and or history here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Oh, I'll tell you what, you talk about women's rights, you've got to talk about in the Middle East.
Yes.
When you look up women's rights in the Middle East, you must first consider Damage Control winning the tag team titles.
Oh, God, no. Oh, God. That probably is their motivation. You're
Oh,
probably right.
Saudi Arabia is fucking
Oh.
gross, and I don't give a damn who comes after me for saying that, okay? I'm not afraid of the Crown Prince. I'll tell you who is afraid of the Crown Prince was apparently the people at this press conference. Did you see this press conference for this
Bits and
event?
pieces, yeah.
I mean, this company has had its share of low moments, okay? We all know that. We don't need to run through them, okay? An MBS chant? What the fuck are we doing? This guy had a journalist chopped to fucking pieces, people. Not to make this take a dark turn.
Yeah.
What are we doing, sports fans? Come on, man. Nikki Cross, you mentioned her factoring into the finish. Does nothing for me. She's a JTTS. That's Jobber of the Stars for those keeping score at home. And she's already lost on television, just to let you know where she's slotted. Again, she's being slotted as a fourth woman because they need 4 women for the War Games in a couple weeks. Must be stated, not only does Damage Control have a shitty stylized name, their entrance music is also horrendous.
But Kyle, it's like the keyboard. They spell it like the keyboard. Do you understand the reference? It's so cool.
I don't fucking give a
edgy.
damn what they're spelling it like, okay? This music reeks like ass. I don't know if I'd caught that before.
Yeah.
Their music. I don't know if I always fast forward like their entrance when I watch it, but this was one of the most horrific entrance songs I've maybe ever heard. It's awful. Outside of bringing Sasha and Naomi back, yeah, I mean, again, and then
There's a picture of the press conference, by the way.
Giving titles.
Mm.
I mean, do these people have any shame?
Real bad. I think it's Stephanie. I love. Didn't Justin send that to us on our text thread with Stephanie's smile, the Gracias face?
It's unbelievable.
There
you go. What a nerd. They had the nerdiest Halloween picture together outside their house. God bless them. I hope they're happy, Hunter and Stephanie. But anyway, the women's tag team titles, let's bring the focus back to the athletes here, Ryan. I don't see them meaning anything resembling important moving forward, unless if Sasha and Naomi come back for some kind of match. And even then, I think the importance would be short-lived. Io and Dakota, quite frankly, have been a disappointment as a team. And I'm not ashamed to say that, or afraid to say that, I should say. I don't think they're clicking the way.
I think the whole stable has not been great.
No, I think they is what they is. I think people who thought that this was going to be a main event level group could carry the division. I think that was foolish to think that, quite frankly. But I'm going to also take a step further in my criticism here. There's criticism for everybody. I am not ready for Asuka anymore, Ryan. Her crazy routine fucking stinks.
Yeah.
That promo
before
so
the match, bad, dude. Oh, so bad.
It set the spoken word back centuries.
It's one of those things where, again, you would be embarrassed if someone walked in on you watching.
Oh my God.
What the hell is this? Real bad shit. I
I
don't. And
recently
you,
watched the 1992 WBF championships, by the way. You talk about not wanting people to walk
you've
in the
seen some
room.
bad television. Yeah.
Oh,
Now you mentioned War Games. I don't remember where this aired for the first time. It aired a couple of times during the show, but
okay.
I do want to talk about how you got to give them credit. They got War Pigs by Sabbath as the theme song for Survivor Series, and that commercial was pretty fucking awesome to have that song on there. And where did AEW miss the boat, Kyle?
Should have been uh, Wardlow's theme song. Chad Repack
Yeah.
called for it. It was in the Repack report.
Yep.
And so Triple H gets a point over Tony Khan there with War Pigs. I wonder if he did it on purpose.
I wondered that too, because there were a lot of people online talking about that. I mean, obviously it makes sense for this event, but man, that put that commercial over the top. It was pretty cool. I was pretty jazzed
Again,
watching
they
that.
make it seem cool. I'm sure
They make it, and
the
and
matches will
then the
stink.
bell rings.
Yeah, and
Yes.
then the bell rings. Yes. Garrett Gonzalez, we'll just drop this now because I referenced it earlier, and I think it's a good point to drop it in on his Facebook group for Fight Game Media. He had a great comment, too, because people were like, who do you think the teams are going to be for War Games? And Garrett goes, I've got the exact quote. It's weird because Triple H said he wanted less theme shows and he wants a Hell in a Cell match that makes sense in the build. Yet here we are with 2 War Games matches and no real feuds that make sense for War Games. That's a correct take.
Yeah.
Good work, Garrett.
So let's move on. Yeah, I mean it's forced. It's definitely forced. They don't have the teams right. So
I mean,
uh
even that match we talked about with the women, like let's say it's Damage Control plus Nikki Cross against Bailey and her gang, which I assume is going to be Asuka, Alexa, and Candice LeRae. It just
mhm.
seems very pigeonhole. I mean, do you think that those like the 4 babyface women are going to interact a lot after War Games?
No.
Do you
Probably
think
Nikki
Nikki
Cross will be
Cross?
dropped too.
Oh yeah, she'll be
Like
thrown to the freaking scrap heap of life 5 seconds later.
a couple months later, nobody will remember she teamed with them. Yeah.
How did
So
Nikki ASH go?
oh, but Kyle, everybody told me on social media it was a great thing.
It was her idea.
Yeah, so good.
If it was
So
her
good.
idea, then I would fire her immediately. Sorry.
Well, kind of like the other guy we're going to talk about here in a little bit. Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross, steel cage match. So, obviously these guys have been working together a while now. Look, they're 2 big dudes. McIntyre, a better worker than Cross, but they match up pretty well.
Mom's a better
Cringe
worker than Cross.
cringe-worthy work though on the outside, as you're going to talk about. And honestly, the finish to me made no sense. Okay, so yeah, let me just say, so you
No,
can
it
win
made
by
sense. It was just that, like, it was so dumb.
well, okay, yeah. So the entire reason they're having a steel cage match is so Scarlett can't get involved. In the match itself, I mean, as you'd imagine, hard hitting. You get the superplex off the top corner of the cage, or kind of off the top corner of the cage. Try to escape to win. You could have won by pinfall also, but nobody went for pinfalls after their finishers throughout this match. And then Drew climbs to the corner to get out through the door, even though Scarlett is standing right there. And this is the entire reason they're having a cage match. And she, of course, sprays him in the face with mace. What? Why did he just cover after the superplex? He didn't even try, right? I mean,
Because they had
I
to do
don't
the
know, man.
spot.
I don't know, man. This was not good either, Kyle. What'd you think?
Michael Cole, that is, not Nat King Cole, not Adam Cole, but Michael Cole, let us know that Scarlett is both seductive and manipulative. That's nice because there's absolutely nothing beneath the surface level they've done to develop her as a character or personality. I wrote this in our Facebook group. It's, I wanted to save the majority of my takes, obviously, for the pod, but I wanted to give the people who follow the Facebook group a little tease. And the first thing that I wrote down that I just wanted to get people there, whet people's appetite with it, Scarlett is an all-time awful performer. I just read a couple hours ago that Tony Khan actually had some interest in bringing Cross in
Hmm.
to AEW, but did not want Scarlett. And like, it says something when you've got the hot chick, as the window dressing, that's supposed to be a value add to the act.
Yeah.
She is awful. Like, all of her mannerisms are just, like, embarrassingly bad.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to the finish in a second, but I was in fucking tears when, once again, the crowd died during Karrion Kross's offense. Brian Zill, I forgot what he wrote, but Cole was again using terms like, "Oh yes, Cross is very methodical with his
Yeah.
offense," which is of course his speed. I think Brian compared it to Jr. saying "bowling shoe ugly" and whatnot. And I couldn't agree more with that take. But this finish, okay,
Yeah.
so Drew's gonna go out the door, but Scarlett locks the door on him.
Mm-hmm.
And Drew's like, okay, well, I'll just fucking climb over the cage and win. That's what he did.
That's what he did.
Okay.
But
Really
Cross almost got there, Kyle. He
yeah,
almost
like,
got out.
and she's like anyone who's watched the steel cage match before in their life, like she's there, like acting like all cool, like I've got the key, and like anyone with a brain would be like, well, just fucking climb over, Drew, and win. And he's like, yeah, good idea, I'm gonna win, and he did.
Also, I mean, just we've talked about this on the show before, and like I said, we just did the first Hell in a Cell. What a freaking awesome match that was. It's WWF or WWF, WWE. Talking WWF recently. These WWE like escape rules in cage matches just stink. Like lock them in there. You got to have a winner,
There
pin
was
or submission.
no violence to this whatsoever.
No.
This was the most positive thing I could say about this match is at least Cross lost because he stinks.
Yeah. Yeah. He does.
Hopefully, Drew can get away from this schmuck for a while. Although, again, like I said earlier, light bulb kind of went off above my head as I was talking. I'm sure he's just going to do a job to Brock in the
Mhm.
future as well. So
Yeah.
he's kind of stuck. Poor bastard has the match of his life and gets fucking Tyson Fury singing Neil Diamond to him, and then he works with Karrion Kross. Happy birthday, buddy!
I like Drew a lot too, man. He always
He is. He deserves better.
Yeah. All right. Well, this next one.
We're off to a real rousing start so far, aren't we?
Can you explain to me why? Well, there's a lot of questions I could lead into with this group here.
Uh-oh.
All right, OC, AJ Anderson and Gallows. First of all, why anyone would care about Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows at this point? Has anyone cared about them in like 7 years? For God's sakes, I mean,
AJ likes him. He likes having him around, and God bless him
mean,
because no one else does.
at least they were getting paid, I guess. But I mean, I cannot imagine even like pretending to have any interest in this team. So that could be one question: is like, who cares? Number two, Judgment Day over there with Balor, Priest, and Dominic, and of course, you got Rhea Ripley out there.
Yes.
Why in the hell would Styles' team go into this match and not have someone on the outside keeping Rhea Ripley at bay, since she gets involved in like the finish of every single Judgment Day match? And of course, she does here too, helping them get to victory. Like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, have you been watching your competition? You've been in matches with them. This is what always happens. No, we got no answer.
Heels were going over is all I can explain. I think, did Mia Yim return on Raw tonight? Did I see that before we came on the air that Mia Yim is going to be with
I haven't
them?
even looked at Raw, to be honest with you.
Let's take a look here because I think we can report live. I think I saw someone tweet Mia Yim is.
Yes, she's back, and she joined the OC. So I guess you get the bigger audience on Raw. They could have brought her over for the show and done it there.
Mia Yim returns to WWE at Big Raw Angle. Who would write something like that? It's not.
I didn't write it, Kyle.
It isn't. I made sure it wasn't you.
Oh, man.
It would be awkward if it was.
I mean, the match itself, you got some good workers in there. Like, it was, I'm not talking about Dominic there, by the way, but
Or
it was
Luke
decent.
Gallows.
Yeah, or Gallows.
He is stealing a paycheck, man. That hot tag, part of me died inside when I saw that hot tag.
Yeah.
I think 2 people cheered.
So the finish was Styles goes, he's going to hit the phenomenal forearm. He goes to the outside. Of course, he gets grabbed by Ripley, who drops him on the ring apron, gets back into the ring. Coup de grace for the victory from Balor. I mean, this is like a 6-man match you'd see on Raw every single week. Nothing
And
really
it
to write
feels
home
like
about.
we have.
Yep.
First thing I'm going to do here is go off on WWE fans who all of a sudden lose the ability to Google during AEW when they don't know something. But they are perfectly fine with this feud being based on a group from New Japan Pro Wrestling. That really burns my ass. If you're gonna be complimentary to this feud, I don't want you to ever bitch about I don't know who this is on AEW. It's called fucking Google. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine caring about the club or the OC or whatever the fuck they are. I mean, I care so little about them that like the fact that they lost again as baby faces doesn't bother me one iota. Judgment Day, I guess now are a decent enough mid-card heel group by WWE standards. Ripley's a better prospect than any of the guys in the group. Although I will shock you right now, Ryan Drosty, by saying Dominic may be salvageable short term.
Short term.
Dominic.
Yeah.
So, again, our good buddy Liam O'Rourke, last time he was on with me on Extra, we were talking about crowd sweetening on WWE shows, and there's quite a bit of it recently. Yeah. But I think Dominic does draw some honest to God heat, and he does because he's shitty. But that's okay, because it's people like he kind of leans into it, and all of his mannerisms are of someone who's shitty at pro wrestling and is getting heat off of it. So I'm cool with that. He can kind of, when I think about it, fill that old void the Miz used to occupy. Right? That was the whole thing behind Miz's push. It's like, oh, we're going to push this guy because everyone knows he's shitty.
Yeah.
And it's going to anger. And then, of course, like WWE fans convinced themselves that Miz was an actually good pro wrestler. And Miz did get competent enough that he kind of lost that way to generate heat, right? Like you look at Miz now, he's pretty fucking terrible because he's a kind of competent pro wrestler. But like WWE fans think he's like really good and they think he's like a good guy or he's like cool. Which is like really embarrassing when you think about it.
Yeah.
Imagine thinking like the Miz is anything but a huge douche you should boo every fucking time. And that's what Dominic is, though, right? Dominic is a huge freaking chode that you should just boo. Like, it's pretty funny, actually, how he's like calling himself the greatest luchador of all time. That amuses me. I'll be honest with you. The discussion,
that is funny.
The discussion over that was the best part of this match between Wade Barrett and Michael Cole. Michael Cole also said, someone needs to kick Ripley's ass. No one will make you not want to have the heels get their ass kicked more than Michael Cole calling for it. I thought Michael Cole was atrocious.
I was going to bring that up too. I saw a lot of reputable people during the show on Twitter saying that how good Michael Cole was, and I was just floored.
I want a fucking name, right? You don't have to say it on the show, chat.
Yeah, we can talk off air, but I'm like, what? This guy just screeching nonstop, beating you over the head with the obvious shit. He is terrible.
On Crown Jewel 2022.
So bad.
He was abysmal on this show.
He was real bad.
So look, obviously, it's funny that, the OC is going to have a woman with them, but, you're obviously building long-term to like a Beth Phoenix return because Michael Cole again said something about the hair. Oh, it's an homage to the late, great Beth Phoenix. And we were all supposed to be like, ooh, he said she's not really dead. But
did he also say the late, great Tony Gurria on this show, who's not dead? Wasn't that on the show that he said that?
He did reference Tony Gurria. I don't know if he
I think he said the late, great. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe Tony died and rolled over in his grave watching this undercard. I don't know.
Oh, no, Kyle. We're getting spammed by a porn site in the chat room right now.
Oh, I don't get that.
Oh, no.
Have it
guys,
so
stay on YouTube. Don't click those links. Put user in timeout on YouTube. Add to block list and restream chat. One of those. Block user on YouTube.
Fucking open it up first. I want to see the pictures. Show me the pictures.
Oh, man. All right.
I don't think there's anything else I needed to say about this.
No, I definitely want to get the Michael Cole stuff in, but yeah.
Below average. Oh, well, I got more on Michael Cole in this next match. But yeah, I'd say 4 matches in, we're below average on all of them.
Yeah.
None of them good. Nothing 3-star. But nothing's like horrific, but like everything is just around that 2-star, 2.5-star range.
I just looked it up. He did say the late great Tony Gurria on this show. Michael Cole, unbelievable. Tony Gurria, very much still alive. See him in Waterloo here at the Hall of Fame almost every single summer. Tragos
I
this.
was going to ask you, when was the last time you saw him?
Yeah, I think he was here this past summer. I think I saw him. He's here almost every year. Oh, Michael Cole. All right. And then we go into this match pitting the Giants, Kyle. Braun Strowman, who was
Mm.
very outspoken about what a great match he had here with Omos. And I don't know if this is the same thing you're going to say about Cole, but the fact that he kept talking about, like, this is the best Omos has ever been,
Yes.
like, so you're basically calling out that the guy has completely sucked for his entire run. Like, thanks for reminding us this guy's been so bad every time he's been out there. He
And it
loses the
was,
match anyways.
yes. And it was like he was on offense for 5 minutes. And Michael
Yes.
Cole is like tripping over himself to praise the guy. Oh my God. I've never seen him look so good. And then, yeah, as you put it, he fucking loses anyway.
Yeah.
So, way to make your announcer look like a complete dipshit.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was actually like probably the best he's looked. But that's a pretty freaking low bar.
He
You
still
know.
does that thing where it looks like he's laughing about wrestling
Mhm. Yeah.
when he's in the ring.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, very low expectations for this one. Some
And
people liked it, as, I alluded to him, bashing the flippy guys on Twitter afterwards, and then, whatever, doing his typical thing. This is the control your narrative guy that was drawing 20 people. Uh, yeah.
yeah.
Take your wins and shut up. You got your money. They brought you back, whatever. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it was the running power slam was the finish. Strowman gets the victory.
Yeah, I'll get back to fucking Strowman in a minute. But, as far as this match goes, I saw somebody joke that MBS clearly wanted Big Show versus Kane, but they were unavailable. So it's Braun versus Omos instead. I did like the tail of the tape and the footage of Omos putting his hand over Cole's face. If only he could do
Mhm.
that during the show.
Mhm.
Test of strength. I mean, this was, again, variety is good. And this was a big man versus big man match, which you don't see a lot now. Keep that in mind. We'll come back to it. But this was better than it had any right to be. I would hardly call it actually good, though. I don't think this was a good pro wrestling match. It was just better than you thought it would be. We talked about Cole being super annoying. And I don't know what the point is of making Omos a jobber giant. So, spoiler alert, Liam O'Rourke and I had a discussion on the next Squared Circle Gazette that will drop about Sid. And we talked about when a monster heel loses the big match, his aura's gone. And you really can't ever fully get it back. I always thought that was a problem with Mark Henry and the Big Show, who did legitimately improve throughout their WWE tenure, but we had seen them do so many jobs prior to that you really couldn't take them seriously ever, at least I couldn't, as dominant heels because I'd seen them suck for extended periods of time and lose so much. So, Omos, he's very physically impressive, obviously, right? But loses clean to Lashley earlier this year, loses clean to Braun. Braun just basically shrugged off the offense, power slammed him. Thank you. Let's go home. So I don't know what the fuck you do with him at this point. I mean, are they in 6 months? Are they just going to pretend he's unstoppable again? And we've just never
Probably.
seen Omos look like this. Yeah, you're right. Probably they
Yeah.
will. Another point I want to make, what a waste putting MVP with Omos was. Because Omos is not getting over, really. And Lashley's less over since he and MVP split. MVP and Lashley together was one of the great acts in this promotion. I don't know if maybe great might be, stretching that word, the meaning of that word a little bit. But by modern WWE standards, that was one of the best acts they've had.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with the Hurt Business.
Yeah.
Just having Benjamin and Alexander there with them, too. It was a good act. And they broke it up for what? Because Vince didn't like Lashley having flunkies, and they wanted to get over Omos by having MVP do his talking. Well, it's not going to work. And now everybody's less over than they were 6 months ago. So congratulations, WWE, in that regard. And congratulations, Braun Strowman, you fucking idiot for flushing any of the goodwill that you got from this match right down the drain. First of all, what a mark this guy is, searching his ratings on the internet, like on the flight back. I don't ever want to fucking hear a WWE wrestler complain about Meltzer's ratings ever again. If this fucker's going to run to some outlet and say, oh, look, we're getting 5 stars from like 40 people online.
Yeah.
Oh, when somebody likes your match, you like people rating matches.
Yeah.
You fucking idiot. And the thing is, too, okay, and I alluded to this earlier. About 30, 35 years ago, whatever it was, we had too many slow-paced big man matches, okay? And that led to people wanting smaller, athletic guys doing their thing, okay? Well, now wrestling has probably too many small guys doing similarly athletic, high-spot matches.
Yeah.
The answer is not wrestling needs to be just complete, like all high spots and, athletic matches, no fucking giants, or, oh, these fucking little guys should be bagging groceries. No, both of those fucking arguments are the hot trash. You want variety. And also, Braun is like shitting on guys on his own roster.
Yeah.
This guy's a fucking moron, and it's the reason he will never be a world champion in a major promotion. It's why he was cut. Remember, Lesnar had issues with him. Remember, he fucking like decked him.
Yeah.
In that Royal Rumble, like triple threat with Kane.
Yeah.
Imagine being in a triple threat with fucking Kane, one of the dumbest human beings walking the face of the earth, and you're the guy who gets punched.
No shit. Well said.
Fucking dumb do you have to be?
I cannot possibly add on to that. Well said.
And I'm going to say it here because Facebook flagged the comment on our group. Braun Strowman should be shot with a harpoon.
Kyle almost got a group shut down with that one. The automated Facebook bots pulled it for violence. He had a violent comment.
Guy's an idiot.
Oh, you also got flagged one time when you said tarred and feathered.
It's one of my favorites.
They got the
who did I say should be tarred and feathered?
I can't remember, but 1700s violence is ready to go. They got that in the old algorithm on Facebook. Flag that.
Unbelievable. Sad.
All
Don't
right.
tread on me, Braun. Fucking
perfect. Tag titles. The undisputed tag team champions, the Usos, taking on the Brawling Brutes. Your boy Butch, that being Pete Dunne, of course, and your boy. I know you're a big fan of this guy, Ridge Holland. The power of the team. Butch doing the technical wrestling. They go 10 minutes and 48 seconds. Usos retain. I mean, not surprising going in. We got a big match now with the New Day on SmackDown this week that they're really building up on Raw. They got, let's see, like 40 minutes to start Raw. I glanced at the results while you were talking a little bit ago. It looked like they got a lot of time with the opening promo and then the opening match, the 6-man match they did tonight on Raw. So Usos and New Day, understandably, a big match you're promoting for SmackDown. So this was kind of an afterthought. I guess it's a chance to show the Brawling Brutes as this upcoming team. And, Butch looked pretty good with the technical wrestling early on. There were some cool spots throughout, but you alluded to this a second ago, Kyle. A lot of these matches just feel the same. The Usos are great, but they're not really having standout matches right now, I wouldn't say. Maybe SmackDown will be pretty good. I mean, it's got some potential, but they're one of the greatest WWE tag teams of all time. When you look at their resume top to bottom, they're part of the best overall act on the program right now.
Mm-hmm.
This match was good, not great. They retain, obviously. Your thoughts?
I didn't even think this match was good. I'll say it again. Usos have never been more over as an act than they are now. All credit goes to being associated with the top act in the promotion, that, of course, Roman Reigns. But their in-ring has really fallen off during this run. I think they just kind of phone it in.
Cruise control.
Yeah. I mean, all credit. They've been around for a while. Again, this is the most over they've been. They're like, fuck it. Why am I going to try? We're with Roman. We're going to be near the top of the card anyway. So God bless them, I guess. But Can't say there are too many people in this promotion I care about any less than Ridge Holland. His rendition of the 10 beats was so sorry. It just felt like I wanted Sheamus to just run out and just be like, "Stop doing that."
Please stop.
It was
Okay, carry on.
so bad. Another problem with this match, and you kind of alluded to this, is no one bought the Brutes as having a chance in hell of winning. And it especially doesn't help that commentary was hitting you over the head with the fact the Usos were going for the record on SmackDown. And in WWE, they only hit you over the head with something if they're going to do it. And so that's just, no one bought the Brawling Brutes as having a chance to win anyway. And the fact that Usos are going for the record on SmackDown just, reinforced that the Brutes had no chance here.
Mm-hmm.
On the bright side, Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, when it happens, is going to be great. But until we get there, I'm guessing the Usos just kind of phone it in, and we're going to have a bunch of nothing teams challenging them that have no chance of winning.
By the way, there was a "We Want Sammy" chant during this match over in Saudi Arabia, which, sorry, he will not be appearing in Saudi Arabia for a few reasons.
Sure, all those people were immediately killed.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know the microphone was on. I apologize.
Not fucking good, Kyle.
No, it's not fucking good.
Oh, God. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. You got anything else on this one?
Almost said something real bad.
I was a little worried.
I remember, well, this next match was no damn good, but I saw Bray Wyatt in the notes, and I was going to take this podcast to a very dark place, but the people have to wait until after we talk about this fine Matt Classic, which could still be going on for all I know.
Yes.
I was not the last man standing during Bianca versus Bayley.
20 minutes and 27 seconds felt
I gave
more
this
like
show
47
a C?
minutes. You're making me rethink this too. It's mostly on the main
nothing
event,
so
though.
far on this show is good at all.
Well, I mean, I'm a little higher on some of these matches. Like the last one, I thought it was a decent match. It wasn't a great match, but I wouldn't call it a bad match. It was just what you always see from the Usos. Like you said, pretty good match, but like kind of on cruise control. They got a little shine in for the Brawling Brutes, but the result was never in question at all. So, kind of similar to kind of similar to the 6-man earlier.
2 stars tops.
Don't really give a shit about the OC, but always like watching AJ Styles. Judgment Day, as you said, mid-card faction. They're okay. I mean, it was a decent match, but not great. Yeah, I mean, this one, I just like, I
What are we
was
talking
taken
about now?
the women's match. So the Raw women's title match,
Oh,
Bianca
yes.
Belair, last woman standing match with Bayley. Too long. Some of the weapons just didn't work for me, and especially the golf cart thing they did at the top of the stage was just real bad. I mean, this golf cart looked like it was going in slow motion, and Bianca is like standing there frozen, like, what should I do? It's like, oh, I don't know, walk 2 steps to the left. Like, it's just like she just stood there with her feet in mud as Bayley's coming in slow motion on this golf cart. They eventually used the golf cart to drive it down the ramp. They placed Bayley on a table, like rolled her off onto the table, and they did a spot, and the table didn't break, and then Bianca had power bomber through the table, whatever. Kyle, the kendo stick's your favorite part of the match, obviously.
Jesus. I'll tell you what, I don't know what weapon of choice, quote, Fatboy Slim, that I want to see less of in wrestling. Tables or kendo sticks? I think kendo sticks are worse.
Yeah.
When I just see a kendo stick, I just go, part of me just dies inside now.
I will say, and I don't know that you agree with me on this.
Sandman, where are you?
I was a little surprised that they didn't switch the title.
Oh, really?
I've said this. Yeah, just because, Bayley just keeps losing, and like, where does Bianca go from here? Was my thought. Like, change it up a little bit, but whatever. I can't complain too much. Bianca's, when you look at the women's division, obviously is right at the top, but boy, this match was not one of her best outings for sure.
No. Just to go back to the start, this feud is clearly underdelivered. So the commentary instead chose to remind you how much history these women have made. Not collectively, but individually. They just listed a bunch of accomplishments that, again, they don't really mean much. It's just Michael Cole reading LinkedIn pages, basically, Wikipedia pages, whatever, resumes, they used to be called. They still have resumes. I haven't had a job interview in like 20 years, so I don't know.
They do. Yes.
Okay. You still do that. Yeah, the kendo stick is just you roll your eyes and just hope it's over. They absolutely lost me down the home stretch, and you hit on it. It was the golf cart thing. So, if you recall, what was it, the Royal Rumble 2 years ago with Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns? They did the golf cart thing.
Yeah, what year was that?
Because they were still doing empty arena, I think, at that point. So I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that kind of worked. It was, entertaining. So I'm sure someone's like, oh, hey, remember when Owens and Roman got that golf cart thing over? Let's bring that back for the women now.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, Bianca's comically bad reaction to when Bayley was, again, driving was so bad. And I just, at that point, never got back into this match. It did not help that Michael Cole started just fucking shoehorning every golf reference he could think of into the match.
Yeah.
Again, Michael Cole, please stop talking. So, yeah, I just, a lot of times I get mad when I have to like do something else when I'm like working and I'm also trying to consume these shows.
Mm.
This was an instance, at least down the home stretch, where I was glad I actually had work to do because I just kind of stopped paying attention for the last 5 to 10 minutes of this match completely. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
And because I figure I actually already knew Bianca was going over, and I have no problem with that. There was a little discussion about this on Facebook about, Bayley, what do you do with her? You alluded to this moments ago, or just change it up. I just don't think Bayley should beat Bianca. I don't think her run's been good enough. I think just doing a title change for the sake of doing a title change is worthless. I think it's just, again, adding to that Wikipedia page, LinkedIn page for no reason. This is Bayley's ceiling, is putting over the champions. And, I talked about Judgment Day by the paltry modern WWE standards being a decent mid-card heel stable. Bianca's a good champion by the modern WWE standard, which again is kind of a low standard, but Bayley's just someone, she's been around for what, 5-6 years on the main roster. She's not going to be in the top 4 ever. She just isn't.
We talked about during the pandemic. She was
but
one of the biggest highlights
there were some people out. There were some people out.
Yeah.
So she'll get her chance, but not anymore. She's just not going to be in that top. She's not going to be in one of the top 2 women's matches at a WrestleMania. I don't think. And her work, quite frankly, hasn't been very good since she came back.
Yeah.
Damage control just, I don't know. They stink.
Yeah. This was, I believe, the 4th time Bayley has lost to Bianca over the last 2 years in a pay-per-view or PLE match. Because there was this one, Extreme Rules, we had the preview on SC Scoops. I predicted Bayley to win that one. Didn't happen. She lost to her, let's see.
Yeah, they had a
Hell in a
feud
Cell last year. She lost to her at WrestleMania Backlash. So
Yeah,
Bianca
right,
has beat Bayley 4 times on pay-per-view going back to last spring.
There's no need to have 2 women's champions anymore. Roman Reigns has proven that one champion is so much better. And what happens is, and this is the problem, and Bayley is victimized by it, you have to just keep putting challengers. You have to keep finding challengers, for these title matches. So, Bayley, that's what I think her role is at this point. Just being a challenger who can, have a competent match with the champion, she loses. What does Bayley have left to offer, really? I don't mean to be
kind
a
of
dick.
weird though. You bring her back. People have been waiting for her to come back. They give her this stable. Everyone was all excited about the stable. There's a Triple H criticism for you. He brought back these people. They make the stable, and everyone's going wild for Triple H's writing.
Well, that's because
And
people are dumb.
I mean, we talked
Sorry.
about it at the time. It was pretty clear, like early on, he was kind of blowing it with the women's division. And I mean, here we are. But like, if you wanted this stable to seem powerful or like the real deal, I mean, you switch that title at Extreme Rules, no?
No, so what I would have done is I would have had them be pretty dominant, winning a lot of six matches. And I would have had, the problem is they've kind of just already turned Io and Dakota into kind of like lackeys, like people who will take the fall in
Yeah, it didn't
multi-person
have to be
matches.
that way, though. Is like
No,
my point. Yeah.
they haven't done nothing with those two to make them stand out individually, really.
Mhm.
And I would have, the Shield is the blueprint. I'm not saying that the ceiling for these three is the Shield. I mean, because that's an all-time great group, but they needed to be portrayed as more dominant than they were. Like I said, them not winning the women's tag team tournament way back when was like really telling for fucking Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah.
Well, again, there's the thing because, we talked about that. They bring him back around SummerSlam and immediately drop the ball. And you have this stable. They get a run as the tag team champions. Bailey's a big name. I mean, she's been
I,
champion before. And,
I,
it's weird because she's been working, all these matches where they could do an interference finish and switch the title and keep Bianca strong. Like, that's why I thought at Extreme Rules it was actually going to happen going in. I thought, oh,
I,
for sure, like the stable's going to help her win. It'll be a bullshit finish, but she'll get the title, legitimize the group a little bit more. But instead, so she lost there. She lost at Crown Jewel. She got the Raw victory, I guess. But like, I don't know, man. I'm surprised. I thought that they would give her the
I
belt.
would not have put the title. What I would have done is I would have had Bianca have more meaningful singles matches with all three of them, which led to Bailey
Mhm.
eventually. I would have just dragged this out longer, but I would not put Bailey over Bianca Belair. I just don't think she's better, to be honest with you.
I mean, I don't think anyone does. But
So
it's just one of those things where it's just like, all right, where's Bianca going? Who's the challengers? Change it up a little bit. She's had a good run with the belt. She'll get it back in due time. But I guess here we are. Damage control ain't doing much damage, Kyle.
yeah, they've got the prestigious women's tag team titles.
Yeah.
You know what I could see them doing already? Because I think that is like I could see Io and Dakota like turning on Bailey because the
Yeah.
group has not lived up to expectations.
Yeah. You're probably right.
Yeah.
Probably right. Oh, so with the finish too, I gotta say that was a weak ass finish with the ladder in the corner and Bailey's trapped in the ladder where like it was very clear she could easily get out. Just looking at that, she's flailing around like, oh, how do I get out of here? And I didn't care for the finish.
Almost every finish on this show sucked, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
So I mean, to set the scene, like
I don't
they
think there was
jammed
one
the
good.
ladder between the ropes. Yeah.
Was there one good finish on this show?
Hmm.
We'll get to the main event in a bit. I didn't think that finish was any good either.
Not
No,
particularly.
there wasn't. No.
Before we get to the main event, Kyle, we got to hit the Bray Wyatt appearance, and I think that entrance is still going on right now as we speak.
Dude, when I saw there was still an hour left in the show and it was just Bray Wyatt promo in the main event, I was like, fuck me running. This wasn't as long as I thought it was, but I also fast forwarded when he was talking.
Basically, Bray came out and he talked about like how he put on the mask with the Fiend before and it made him feel all powerful. But it wasn't good for him. It's not how he wants to be remembered. His name is Bray Wyatt, he screamed. And then,
so
of
he's
course,
admitting the gimmick sucked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, but that's one step towards redemption.
Like, it's so funny that these tool sheds like Ryan Satin are all like, dude, like WWE is like it's been so long since WWE was this good. And yet this is like the same dipshit who for the last 2 years was saying how good everything was.
Yeah.
What a fucking knob job this guy is. Way to by the way, dude, man. I mean, God bless you. I hope you have a happy life of marriage, Mr. and Mrs. Satin. But how about imitating fucking date rape for your wedding? Whew.
Oh, yeah, the, drive-through wedding. "Hey, look, I did what Triple H and Stephanie did."
What a fucking
Whew.
nerd.
Mm. So, let's see. Anyways, yeah, so the Titantron flickers on, and there's Uncle Howdy, Kyle.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's what it's like. So you watch the first part, and it's like, all right, at least he's not going to do the Fiend then, if you're watching this, and you're thinking, all right, we're moving on to something fresh. Oh, no. Here comes the bullshit horror stuff.
We're moving
And
on to Uncle Howdy.
Uncle Howdy. He talks about how he knows Bray better than anybody.
Uncle
And
Howdy was
the fans do not deserve you, Bray. You're going too far. It's time to give in. Remember how good it feels, Bray. Put on that mask.
Is
Do
this
it.
like
Hurt the
some like
fans.
drug analogy or something? Is that what they're going for?
Don't take off
It's
the
like
mask. Don't
a
take off the
dare
mask this time.
PSA.
Dude, I just can't. Again, like production value wise, yeah, it's very over the top. And I guess from a video production standpoint, you're impressed by it. But like from a storyline perspective, I'm just cringing. Like, not again. Here's that creative genius, Bray Wyatt at work, Kyle.
Uncle Howdy is definitely the guy who's going to bring up politics at Thanksgiving dinner, by the way, right? Or oh no, that's Uncle Howdy's this fucking idiot. They got feud
It's
with Bray Wyatt, dude.
instead of stop counting, it's stop talking.
Yeah,
Stop talking.
dude. We said this before. He was the Fiend years ago on this program. You listen to Bray Wyatt speak. If you're not actually like trying to consume the words, you're like, this guy's delivery is pretty good. He's got the performance aspect of pro wrestling down, but like the promos themselves are just word soup.
Yep.
Like I feel like the closed caption should just say words, not actual words. It should just say the word words,
Words. Some
right
more
across
words.
because
Dot, dot,
they
dot, words.
it's nonsensical. It means nothing. The way he's explaining away the Fiend and his absence is just insulting. He also didn't even bring up this Uncle Howdy business, even though the crowd had seen it before. And like the announcers like are just clueless too, I guess. Look, at the end of the day, as we said weeks ago, Bray Wyatt is going to feud with himself. And that is horrific.
Yep.
Get me another harpoon, Ryan.
Can think of a few things worse than that. Yeah.
What's he gonna do? I mean, obviously somebody's gonna play Uncle Howdy, but at the end of dude, look, man, Ryan, Kelly, Greg, I fucking love you guys, man, but this is fucking trash. It's horrible. I almost thought, like last week, about tweeting to Vince McMahon, please come back and fire Bray Wyatt again.
You should
Looks
have.
like Vince is pretty busy though. Did you see the photo
He's out
that
to
was
dinner.
shared on Twitter? He was
Yeah.
out to dinner with not his wife at the time.
It wasn't Linda. She did
Definitely
kind of look. She looked a little like Linda in the face just from that angle. Did you think that?
I was more
got a
focused
type.
on what Vince looked like in the face. My God, he is
Yeah.
morphing more and more into Ronald Reagan in the Land of Confusion video by the day.
All right. Let's get to the main event. This is what everyone came for. Roman and Logan Paul. I mean, obviously, the entire premise of this match, preposterous going in, but they sell it as Logan just needs to hit him one time, one punch shot of nowhere. The old Buster Douglas deal. It doesn't matter if you're the underdog, you could pull it off, leaning heavily
And
into that.
I didn't mind that because they actually worked the match like that.
Yes.
It wasn't just something for the announcers to say, and then they're not working that style.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, basically the story was, Reigns was very dominant early. Once in a while, Logan would find a way, to hit a couple of moves. He did. Everyone's seen the side by side by now. He did the buckshot lariat, right? Um, he did the spot on the outside where he filmed himself with a selfie doing the splash through the table. That was pretty cool. I mean, overall, you have to hand it to the guy. I mean, he's had
Mhm.
minimal training. He pulled off a really good match. We can talk more like the spots here in a second, but I wanted to ask you right away, where to you does this rank as far as like celebrity matches go? Is this the best celebrity match just work rate wise of all time? Because obviously there's bigger matches, WrestleMania 1, of course. But like as far as the work in the match goes, and we've seen some decent ones, like Bad Bunny impressed in the ring before too. But like Stephen Amell always came across pretty good in his matches. But is this the best celebrity match there's been that you can remember? Like ring work wise?
I don't know, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
there's a larger issue of play that I want to get to later.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
actually know how to answer that question because we have to have a conversation about the Performance Center.
Okay.
And we should get to the finish
All right.
first. All right,
All
you
right.
know what? Do you want to do it now? I guess we can do it
Let's
now.
do it now. I think might as
Okay,
well.
okay. All right, so Rick Skelton, one of our uh, most ardent supporters, good friend, he's appeared on Top Rope Nation Extra before. He had a post on Facebook this morning talking about Logan Paul, exposing the Performance Center. But you got to keep in mind here, Logan Paul was trained by Shawn Michaels in the Performance Center. So I don't know if he exposed the Performance Center. What he exposed in the is that if you teach everyone to wrestle the same way, which the Performance Center does, it's always going to be cooler when it's celebrities doing the same moves you always see. Because
Yeah.
you're like, holy shit, man, I can't believe like this guy who's only got 3 matches under his belt just did that. But what that does, it makes your full-time crew look shitty because they've all been doing this for a decade and it's their dream and and they don't look any better than the novice.
Hmm.
So the PC is good in the sense that it can make people with no prior wrestling experience look quite competent, as we saw here, or even good. And Logan Paul was good here. But it also takes people with previous wrestling experience and seemingly strips them of everything that made them interesting in the first place, which is very bad. So that's the issue at the Performance Center. I mean, when we, say, oh, Logan Paul made the Performance Center look like shit. Well, okay, Paul is certainly shockingly good for his experience level. There's 3 matches,
Hmm.
and he definitely brings an aura that a lot of the guys who come through the PC don't have. He
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
the performance aspect of pro wrestling. He played to the crowd, which is underdone in modern wrestling. But another key is he's not overexposed on television like everybody is. And Roman too. I mean, he's smart. He's like, fuck would I be on TV every week for?
Right.
So that
Yeah.
helps. So, it's hard for me to say that this was the best celebrity performance ever because I feel the WWE just has this flawed system that favors celebrities now. You brought up Bad Bunny.
Hmm.
He's doing a Canadian Destroyer. I was like, holy shit, Bad Bunny did a Canadian Destroyer. But like, if anyone else did it, you'd be like, okay, I fucking see that all the time. If
Hmm.
any, it just, honestly, it just sort of exposes everybody else and your style of teaching. So I don't know. It's hard. Like, I think I like as a match, I liked Flair and Arn versus McMichael and Green better than I like this.
I mean, that's a good one.
Because they, we talked because we reviewed Great American Bash Night 6. They wrestled like
Yeah.
football players would wrestle. Logan Paul basically just wrestled like every WWE wrestler. He just was kind of better at it, and he's a more popular personality.
Well, they did. At least they lead into the fact, that they had posted the pictures of Sean training him, and then he goes for the sweet chin music. He did the flying
Mhm.
forearm and the kip up and everything. So, like, He did Sean's spots. The Sweet Chin music was really the only thing that he did in the match that didn't look good. That was not very good, but, like, a nod to that, so, like, he's emulating the guy
Should
who's
have
been
had Chris
training
Adams
him.
teach him. Oh, well, okay.
Yeah. But it was I mean, I would say athletically, it's gotta be, to me, the best performance by a celebrity I've seen, just from a eye-popping athleticism perspective,
I mean,
but it wasn't
he
like the biggest celebrity match. Obviously, there's been bigger ones that drew more money and things like that, or more mainstream interest for sure. I mean, look at what Rodman and Karl Malone did,
yeah,
but
I mean,
that wasn't the kind of performance we see here.
yeah, I mean, he looked great against the fucking Miz at what was that,
Yeah.
SummerSlam too? I mean, he very clearly gets it.
Mhm.
It would be interesting to see if he was a regular TV character, what would happen. My guess is he would, you know, the same fate that hits everybody would overcome him, and he'd just feel less special over time. And honestly, him getting injured, and hopefully for a speedy recovery, not the worst thing for his WWE career because he can do a comeback from injury deal for
Yeah.
his next time, and people will be into it. So,
Yeah.
and this was the last match that they'll remember, and it was a great performance from him against the biggest name in the company. It's funny though, something you just said about, there have been celebrity matches that have drawn way more money, and that's absolutely correct. This match is supposed to be this unique, special deal. But again, I'm going to go back to what I said at the outset. It was just kind of a normal WWE main event with a celebrity who gets it doing the same moves you'd get from any Roman babyface.
But as you said, the fact that Roman doesn't wrestle very often makes it special. And that's a key point that's, often lost in WWE, where overexposure is a big problem.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love the fact that he rarely wrestles. Of course, Logan Paul rarely wrestles. He's brand new, injury, everything. So, like, the fact that this is rare would make you more likely to go back and watch it, let alone the performance by
Yeah.
a
But,
celebrity.
but it's funny because here it is, Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. This is supposed to be this thing that transcends pro wrestling. It's going to bring the casual fan in, right? And really, the only reason it got any mention anywhere is because Logan Paul got hurt. And
Yeah.
I'm sound like I'm being critical. It was easily the best thing on the show, which isn't saying much. But I liked how they took their time early on. Everything they were doing seemed to matter. First thing in my notes on this match, Roman is the only cool person on the show. Because I mean,
Yes.
Logan Paul
Yes.
is a shitty babyface, to be honest
Well,
with you.
someone really needs to explain to this guy, because, like, he's insisted upon being a babyface. They
Yeah,
wanted him to be heel.
he would
Like,
be
someone
a
needs to. So
fucking
good.
awesome heel.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
like
Someone needs to
that is true.
explain to him. Like, Sean needs to sit this guy down and be like, I gotta tell you, it's way more fun to be a heel. Like, you could be so good as a heel, and
Yeah.
it's a lot more fun too. Like that,
Although
he would be very, very good as a
the
heel.
only
Yeah.
problem then though is what he wants to just do all the cool moves that everyone
Yeah.
else does, and so I mean that's a problem. But
Mhm.
um, I said Rowan was the only cool person on the show. Check that because Paul Heyman's facial reactions throughout this match were nothing short of spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, they usually are, but I thought even by Paul's standards of selling the in-ring action, this was top notch from him. The camera was always had him in a good position reacting.
Mhm.
When Paul would hit one of the surprise moves, Paul would, be surprised. It was that was very good. What was not good though was the interference portion of the program in this match,
Yeah.
and they lost me. They were having a really good main event match, and then just a bunch of people's music started playing. They took their time getting out. I mean, they were doing like normal intros. Do the WWE
Yeah.
officials just say, "Oh, this guy wants to come out, so we're just going to play
Here's
his
your music."
music, and he's just going to slowly saunter to the ring"? I mean, that's fucking phonier than the day is long.
Yeah. They're excellent near falls in this match. Credit to Roman again, like getting you to believe that just maybe he could pull it off if you could suspend your disbelief for a second. Because Paul hits the right hand, he goes on offense. He had the aforementioned spot where he goes up on the top rope and jumps through the table on the outside with this phone. right after that's when the Usos come out. Yeah, and they go after Logan's co-host from his podcast. But then out comes Jake Paul, right? So he's just won with the UFC, so it's a big spot to bring out Jake Paul. There was these rumors that he was going to be there throughout the day. He's there. He drops Jay and Jimmy Uso with right hands on the outside. Logan goes up top, comes off the top rope, nearly gets a pinfall yet again. Solo Sikoa comes out, gets involved. Yeah, like you said, it's chaotic. You get a stare down between him and Jake Paul. Logan launches himself over the top ropes to lay out the Usos, but in the end, Roman lays him out with a spear and wins the match. I got to say, Logan Paul does a hell of a frog splash too.
Yes, the spot to the outside was great, but
Yeah.
the finish in this, again, stop me when you've heard this before with the Roman Reigns main event, anticlimactic. Next time there's a good finish to a Roman Reigns pay-per-view match, maybe the first in this heel run. But yeah, best thing on the show. I mean, like 3.25, 3.5 stars.
I was going to ask you what you thought Dave would give this. I bet he's going to go 4.5 on it. That's my prediction.
I don't even follow that anymore. Stop it.
Yeah, I'd be like 3 3/4 to 4 probably on this personally, but I'm sure Dave will be much higher. We'll see. We will see. Better than the 92 Rumble.
Stop it.
From a star ratings perspective, Kyle, you know it's going to the higher score.
Stop it. If you think this match is better than the 1990 Rumble, I don't know what the fuck to say to you.
You would say something that would get our Facebook group banned.
Get me a harpoon.
But yeah, I mean, hey, it was a spectacle. A lot of cool spots. I mean, as I said at the very top, that's what they're going for. They want those clips, especially with a celebrity like Logan Paul they can push out there.
Yeah,
that's what they got.
What are they doing now on this Twitter? Before I logged in, actually, you wrote something funny about it because you said it should be me. I don't think that I didn't see that on Twitter. Who's the next? Part of me died inside when I saw that tweet. Who's the next YouTuber that Roman Reigns should work with? What are we doing?
Definitely TRP, Kyle. Definitely. Hey, it's got 3 likes. More than I thought. Hold on, let me just.
What are we doing? The next YouTuber? I don't even understand why these Paul brothers are famous. I agree. Rick Skelton said he didn't know either, and I gotta agree.
Yeah, there it is.
I mean, they're tools.
Oh, I got to get our graphic off the screen. This is more work than I thought. There it is. It's got to be TRP, Kyle. Who should be the next YouTuber to step into the ring with at WWE Roman Reigns?
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't go.
TRP Kyle.
I wouldn't go to the ring until they came up with a good finish.
Who could blame you? I like that you're holding out for quality.
I always do.
Yeah. Well, that
wasn't holding out for quality on this show. Didn't really get it either.
Wait, Jesse says the ratings are out. It was 4.5. I didn't even see that. Did he put out the Observer early? How'd those ratings get out?
Yeah, where did he get the ratings from? Did he? But maybe he just gave them on Wrestling Observer Radio.
Oh, probably. There it is.
Imagine thinking this was a match of the year contender.
Guys, I got to tell you, if you're not in our Facebook group already, we've mentioned it many times, get in there. We are going to be doing a Q&A session on the show very soon, probably on our next episode. There's a thread in the Facebook group. Get your questions in there. We will have one more show, and then the Full Gear review will be the one after that. So, and then as we talked about earlier, we got classics coming up. We've got a TR Extra coming up with Kyle and Michael Jenkinson. So some good stuff on the horizon. Subscribe on YouTube, join the Patreon page. Lots of good stuff coming your way. Kyle, that's all I got. You got any other thoughts before we take it off into the sunset?
A lot of harpoons, buddy.
Yes. All right. So for that, I am Ryan Drosty.
A C? I gave the show a C.
For Kyle Ross, the great Kyle Ross. I'll talk to you again real soon. Take